If you've ever tried to manage or been on any sort of amateur sports team, be it hockey, soccer, baseball, you know what a headache it is to organize all of your different members, making sure you have all of the roster spots filled for each and every game, that all of your practices and even the locations of your games is properly shared to your entire team. Can be a real headache. The internet steps in. A Web 2.0 app developed here in Canada called Rosterbot. It could be the answer. Joining me online now from San Francisco, hockey veteran from the NHL, Bret Hedican. How are you doing, Bret?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great, Steve. Thanks for having me on.
I appreciate it. Now, along with Ian Andrew Bell, who has been on our show often in the past talking about Tingle and other things, you folks have developed Rosterbot. Now, I can't imagine that when you were in the NHL, scheduling and making sure everybody was out at the games and practices was an issue. But it certainly is for beer league hockey.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We have managers that take care of all the scheduling. We just have to, like you say, sometimes like herding cats, but we just follow the crew on the bus and off the bus into the games. But yeah, beer leaguers, they need this service. And I'll be honest with you, now that I'm retired, I use it often as well. So it's something that has been a lot of fun to be a part of, and I've really enjoyed it.
No, how did it start? Where was the genesis of the app?
It really started, Ian is obviously an avid hockey player. That's how I got to know him. And I got to know him through other technology guys like Guy Kawasaki out of the Bay Area.
Okay.
Very, very famous technology guy, and got to know Ian through him. And we played in some hockey games up there after I had retired and got to know Ian really well. And it was something that really he was scratching an itch that he had, playing in three different beer leagues and during the course of the week and getting all inundated with all the emails that were coming through his email box. And it's hard to keep track of it all and who's coming and who's not. And so he was actually, thinking of ways to make his life easier. And I love the technology and the idea.
Well, now we should point out Ian is a goalie, and goalies, of course, in beer league hockey are usually quite useless, but also also really hard to come by. So they're very popular as they switch from team to team because of the gear and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, well, it's a goal. That says it all, right? And
Yeah.
he's in technology. That says another thing. But no, yeah, goalies. If the goalie doesn't show up, you're not a very friendly human being, or they're not friend. Your friends aren't friendly to you, I should say. And the goalie has to show up. And if
Yeah.
they don't show up, nobody's happy. Nobody has any fun. And so it really helps the game.
So Rosterbot is a pretty simple system that you subscribe to. You can create it's all free. You create an account for your team as the team manager. Add the email addresses of all of your different players. You have the option of adding things like positions, being able to create positions, being able to do alerts if you don't have the proper positions, and then it basically you just populate it with the different messages, times, and it then populates the are they like meeting requests that go to all the players to make sure that they're coming back, so you get affirmation that people are showing up.
Absolutely. So yeah, it literally takes you a couple minutes to set up. You can basically copy and paste all your teammates into an auto-populate separated by a comma,
Mm-hmm.
and it has your team all set up. Then you go in and you basically have a minimum maximum amount of players, and then you can have spare players as well. That's what's unique about Rosterbot is we have the ability to say, okay, 3 days out from the game, I need to send a note out to all my players to see who's coming. You receive an email and it's a yes or a no link. You hit the yes, you're coming, or no, you're not. Well, Rosterbot takes that information and waits for another day. When it finally says, hey, you don't have enough players yet for the game, I'll send it out to your spares. And so then it sends it to all the spare players, and now finally you might have the amount of players needed for the game.
Oh, so you actually set a minimum threshold for your what your roster is going to look like for that particular game, and if you follow a program where you send it out like enough days in advance, it then make sure that your entire thing is populated. Or I guess you get an alert a couple days before saying, "Hey, you're short here."
You're short here, and it also sends it out to your spare players
Yeah.
that you've obviously put into the program to say, hey, these are my spare guys. That hey, if these good players can't show up, I'll take these scrubs.
So it was built with hockey in mind at the beginning, but I guess did you realize right away that it was going to work for a lot of different areas, or is that kind of is it a voyage of discovery where you're going, holy cow, it really fits in this area as well?
Well, I think it was. It was made for hockey originally, but we knew that this thing would be used for many purposes. And now you look at it, it's over 300 activities, Steve. And that's the interesting thing, from church groups to
I saw poker.
poker tournaments,
Yeah,
to poker games, to you name it. It's used for everything, and that's what makes it so fun.
and it's free.
and it's free. And the great thing is it's so easy to set up. I mean, you're moving forward in a couple of minutes and you're ready to go.
Now, okay, so it's free. It's a great app. There is some competition out there. There's a few other services. Some are free, some are not. What's the business case? Talk to me about why you got. I mean, you didn't build it for nothing. It cost you folks energy to build, and you're going to have to kind of run it as a business. What's the business model behind Rosterbot? How's it ultimately going to pay for itself?
Well, I think that's right where we're at now. We finally relaunched Rosterbot 2.0 just a few weeks ago, and now we're going to start doing a little bit more of the marketing, talking to other companies that really want to partner with us, that want to reach the active people out there that are in groups and in communities and in teams that they can directly relate with their customer. And what I mean by that is when we send out that invitation to see if you're coming to the game or coming to the activity or not, it's a great opportunity to send something marketing wise with that email at the bottom to say, hey, let's say we have Under Armour, for instance,
Yes.
if they were our sponsor, and you're playing in hockey, and the local area that sells Under Armour is having a sale on the exact thing that you might need for that particular sport or that activity. It's a great way to connect with your exact consumer. And so right now we're in the middle of finding the right partnership with a marketing group, or with a company to be a marketing partner with us. And we're going to be selective. We want the right people. We want the right team to be with us, and we're looking for that group now. That's the first revenue model.
So it's very much so. Right now, you're in a very much build it and they'll come mode where you're providing an excellent service for free. Do you sense that there'll be any pushback from your members at all as you start to embed advertising, or as you start to look for revenue down in the backside?
Well, we're going to anticipate that, and we hope that they understand that this is a free service at this time. And again, like you just started the conversation, that question off is that we are a company that needs money to survive, and it gives us an ability to do so. Another revenue model that we'd really like to get after as well, that is in the pipeline, is the ability to, if you're running a sports league or a team, and you have to pay all the money up front, it's very difficult to collect that money from your players, and to have guys that come to the locker room say, hey, I forgot my wallet or whatever. We're going to have the ability to be able to pay right online with your credit card, and that money should go to the manager who has already paid that money outright. We would take a small fee of that in order to collect that money and give it to the team manager, and it gives us an ability to keep the money out of the locker room and to be able to just enjoy the game for what it is.
That actually sounds like a really creative application. So when you take a look at the landscape, the kind of the gorilla that you always have to be concerned about is, how is Facebook going to integrate with this? Because there has to, at some point, Facebook seems to be reaching out and touching whenever there's groups gathering, Facebook is reaching out and touching. Have you guys had any conversations or conversations about your strategy surrounding how you might want to deal with Facebook? Do you want to become a Facebook app and include it within Facebook, or are you concerned about the shadow of Facebook?
Well, I don't think obviously anybody that builds a business has to be thinking about Facebook. It's the third largest country in the world. So I think it's something that you have to be thinking about. We have been having some conversations about Facebook, but right now we are in this mode of building all the applications within our Rosterbot that are going to make it something that's very user friendly, which it is already. We want to make sure that we can collect money for our managers of the team. We want to make sure we have the right marketing partner. And then obviously that's something that we do have in the pipeline to start thinking about other, Facebook and other companies that we'll obviously be thinking about.
A quick search online finds a couple of probably a dozen or so different competitive products that manage different types of rosters. A lot of them focused on baseball. A lot of them coming from the States. What would you say your competitive advantages over these, or what are you really trying to leverage to move you ahead of these other services?
Well, I think ease of use, the user interface for me. I've looked at a lot of the other ones as well, and when I come to Rosterbot, it's so simple and it's so easy to look at, and it happens so seamlessly that I just can't see myself ever using another service. And I think that's what's really drawn me to it. And I think, Chad Lindstrom and Ian Bell have done a great job of really bringing that to life, and making sure that it's easy to use. And I think that's where our strength is, no doubt about it. And the ability to have the spare players, to have things like that is a great tool for all sports, because you want to make sure you have your regulars that are in the game, but you want to make sure you have a couple on backup And I think that's just a great tool for Rosterbot.
Bret Hedican, NHL legend, now online veteran, working with Ian Bell, and you also mentioned Chad. I didn't mention him off the top. One of your the third person of the triumvirate that creates Rosterbot is Chad Lindstrom, who does all of the software engineering. Thanks so much for your time. I look forward to seeing how Rosterbot works out. I'm going to try it for my own dodgeball team, see how that works.
Definitely use it for your dodgeball team. It's great to talk to you, Steve, and thanks for having me on.